In Islam, jihad is not a isolated concept. It's a comprehensive concept. From struggling to be good on my day-to-day basis to fighting for justice, each and every aspect of my life, freeing people from occupation, as well as standing up for the rights of my neighbors, or even going and rescuing somebody from a burning house. All of those concepts are known as jihad. So to consider anyone calling out for jihad and then banning the word jihad would not only be a foolish move,
Okay.
it would be backfiring on everybody.
I suppose that gentleman was saying it's jihad, but not jihad as we understand it. It's a different kind of jihad. I don't think it's unreasonable for the Home Secretary to have a discussion with the police.
I attended a march attended by more than 300,000 people in London. I know you guys have reported it to be 100,000. We were chanting for the Free Palestine slogan, and that is all people of that holy land should live together peacefully without arguing and fighting, without bombing one another, without killing innocent people, without occupying each other's lands. So we were very clear. A splinter group, and there are always splinter groups, whether it is mainstream or non-mainstream, it really doesn't matter. They can chant anything they want. It's a free country. I have nothing to do with them, and we have nothing to do. They have nothing to do with us. If somebody shouts death to the king while king was doing his coronation, that doesn't represent the entire population of Britain, does it? It doesn't. It's just a small thing. Let's not make a big deal out of it.
Well,
secondly,
hang on, no, one second. So on that point, Suella Braverman wants to make a big deal of it. She thinks she wants to know why chanting at the demonstration did not lead to arrests.
Well, Suella Braverman can make big deal out of anything she wants. We don't trust her. We don't even believe in her. We think she's got some problem somewhere. She wants to send all the foreigners or immigrants who come to this country on boats, fleeing from desperate positions into Rwanda. I don't know what she's thinking. She actually fetishizes over sending people on a plane.
Well,
okay.
I mean, I'm sure she would disagree with that. But go on, you were going to make a second point.
So when somebody is like that, we don't take them seriously. Second point is about jihad. The concept of jihad. I struggled this morning to wake up from my bed. That's a jihad. In Islam, jihad is not a isolated concept. It's a comprehensive concept. From struggling to be good on my day-to-day basis to fighting for justice, each and every aspect of my life, freeing people from occupation, as well as standing up for the rights of my neighbors, or even going and rescuing somebody from a burning house. All of those concepts are known as jihad. So to consider anyone calling out for jihad and then banning the word jihad would not only be a foolish move, it would be backfiring on everybody. Third point, just on there.
Okay, very quickly, I want to speak to Eric Pickles as well about
this. Of course, the bigger point that you raised, which is to do with the issue itself. We all have fundamental right to express ourselves. And what's her name? Suella Braverman has no right to stop anyone from speaking, and she should not be politicizing policing. Police know exactly what they're doing. It was wrong of her to write that awful letter to every police chief. Protest from across the country has come up, and we are saying to her, Suella Braverman, stay in your home office and do your job. Please stop politicizing it.
Okay, Eric Pickles, the police know what they're doing and they're doing their job, and they don't need Suella Braverman kind of picking at them and politicizing things.
I suppose that gentleman was saying it's jihad, but not jihad as we understand it. It's a different kind of jihad. I don't think it's unreasonable for the Home Secretary to have a discussion with the police. She can't direct them, but I don't think it's unreasonable to have a discussion. We've had 2 very large demonstrations in London and other parts of the country. It's had the effect that it's made our Jewish community very frightened. I think it's vaguely, in fact, no, not vaguely, I think it's completely anti-Semitic to blame British Jews for what's happening in the Middle East, or to accept them to have any responsibility for it. And I'm very unhappy at the loose way in which the police looked at that. I think they need to look at their training, and I think they need to use CCT. I'm not wanting to put people in prison, but I do think people who make these kind of statements should, in the old-fashioned kind of word, have their collar felt, because it's not good.
Well,
That could so easily have broken. Just making this point,
okay.
that could so easily have broken out into violence, and I think good policing interferes before violence occurs.
Well, I mean, there are some people who believe that it was good policing, obviously, and the Met Police, you will know themselves, have put out a statement. They say, we reviewed the video from the Hizb ut-Tahrir protest in which a man can be seen to chant Jihad, Jihad. The word has a number of meanings, which they go on to explain. Specialist officers have assessed the video, haven't identified any offences. We've sought advice from the CPS, who've reached the same conclusion. What they're saying is that they understand that this kind of language can be difficult and divisive, but ultimately, if it's not within the remit of a law, if it's not a criminal offence, I'm not sure what else they can do. I mean, these are difficult issues.
Yeah, of course, they're difficult issues. The police have to use discretion, and I'm very impressed that the police have specialist officers and those who can identify different flags. But it doesn't, I think, in any way dilute what I'm saying, which is those marches were very intimidatory. Jewish people were denied being able to be in London. They're frightened. They're frightened about their schools. They're frightened about various other things. This kind of intimidation encourages those on the extreme to be emboldened. That's why we saw Jewish schools being attacked. So it's a wider problem that I'm talking about. I think that the normal understanding of the word jihad is for that Salman Rushdie faced. I just don't think you can have slogans shouted at various rallies, and then you have to look down the footnote and say, well, in this context, it could mean I'm a bit fed up, or I've just got out of bed.
Well, but Eric Pickles, you know,
be careful about your language.
Yes, you do have to be careful about your language.
Anyway.
You have to be careful about your language, Eric Pickles, of course, but that is exactly what lawyers will do, is that they will check what a word actually means. There's no point arguing, I don't think, about specific words. What I want to ask you, Eric Pickles, before I go back to Ajmal, is you talked about some of these protests being intimidating towards the Jewish community, and some people have said that, but presumably you don't think that a pro-Palestinian, not pro-Hamas, a pro-Palestinian rally held in the UK is not per se intimidating or a bad thing, or do you?
Well, we do know the organisers of the march, or some of the organisers of the march, had close contacts with Hamas. I think some of the slogans that we saw, I think some of the placards that we saw, I think some of the chants that we saw were intimidating, and I'm not sure that this should become a regular feature of our Saturdays in London.
So, okay, Eric Pickles, I just want to check here with you. 4,000, according to the Health Ministry in Gaza, 4,651 Palestinians have died as a result of the retaliation from Israel to the horrendous attacks by Hamas. Are people able to go out on the streets and say, we don't want more people to die, or not?
Well, I think if it was a little bit more equal, if there'd been some kind of understanding about having babies' heads decapitated or old people burnt alive, I think I'd be more sympathetic. You'll recall last July, there was an uprising against Hamas in Gaza that was ruthlessly put down. You will recall that they accidentally bombed a hospital in Gaza. You will recall that they're actively using their population as a human shield against them. I think if there was some equality, then it would be a good thing if people were saying, to Hamas, please let your people go to the south away from the fighting. Please ensure that you're not stealing their aid and using it for armaments or putting it into your own back pocket. Then yes, that will be a very good thing. It's just so one-sided.
Okay. Ajmal Masroor, Eric Pickles is here is asking for some. Well, he's saying it's one-sided. What do you say to that?
I don't know whether I should laugh or cry at Eric Pickles' statements. And unfortunately, some of what he said was bizarre. An example, children being beheaded has been disproven by everybody. Everybody is saying this is not true. Even Israeli Defense Force has said, look, we don't have any evidences for suggesting that. So for Eric Pickle, with his celebrated career, should know better. Secondly, of course, we are supporting the rights of people, innocent people, not to be attacked from all sides, whether it is Jewish or Christian or Muslim. And to suggest that Hamas or anybody else misfired and killed over 500 people in a hospital, again, it's ridiculous. It's preposterous. Over and over again, recently as a couple of days ago, Channel 4 had done extensive research and proven that it was not done by any of those. It was an Israeli rocket that killed them. But look, even if you take away 500 people's death, bombs that's killed babies and mothers and children, we look at the more than 4,000 or 3,500 people who have died, out of whom 1,700 of them are children from Palestinian side. Every life matter, Asma, not just one life. It's not that Jewish life is more superior than the Muslim life. No, as far as I'm concerned, every life is sacred. It must be protected. And secondly, to suggest that protest in London somehow intimidates people of Jewish background from coming to London. Do you know where I live? My house and my street, every Saturday, every Friday, I have hundreds of my Jewish neighbors walking to the synagogue. I say good morning to them. I say hello to them. To suggest that they don't come to London, I live in London. And I saw many Jewish people in London while I was demonstrating 2 Saturdays over the last 2 weeks. Some of them actually joined us to say, not in our name. And that's what we're expecting from people like Eric Pickle and many other Jewish community leaders, as well as rabbis, to stand up and say, look, what Benjamin Netanyahu is doing is wrong, is killing indiscriminately. Israel has the right to defend itself, of course. So do the Palestinians have the right to resist if they're occupied. And we know they've been occupied since 1967. And their land has been stolen regularly. Their houses are destroyed. People are shot dead. Israeli settlers are constantly causing havoc in the West Bank area. The argument that Israel is fighting Hamas, okay, I understand Israel is fighting Hamas, but there is no Hamas in West Bank. And yet Israeli government and settlers are killing Palestinians on a regular basis, stealing their houses, destroying their land and their crops. And the final point I'd like to say, the only way forward, Asma, and to all of our listeners, is to have peace. And there will be no peace until Israel stops occupation.
Okay, Ajmal, right. One point, just very quickly there. You said that that Jewish people don't feel intimidated and they join you. No community is homogenous. The Muslim community is not homogenous, and neither is the Jewish community. And there are many Jewish people who do feel intimidated by what has gone on in Israel and some of the demonstrations. And the reason I know this is because they get in touch with us on a daily basis and text us their fears. So it's very simplistic to say that, oh, everyone thinks A or B. You know that's not true.
But it's also very simplistic to say Jewish people were intimidated because of those.
Well, many people were.
So hold on. So let's make it clear. Yes, so are the Muslims, right? Many Muslims are feeling absolutely horrified by what's going on in Israel, what's going on in Palestine. We're all standing up and protesting. What's our collective message? Our collective message is to save lives. And if any government is going to behave in the way Israeli government has done, remember, Israel is a government. Hamas is a terrorist organization, is not a government. So if we're talking about government has rules to follow.
Okay.
They've violated international law. They've violated Geneva Convention. They've violated United Nations resolution. And as recently as now, they've cut off electricity, water, and food. That's war crime. And if we can't call out war crime when it's a war crime, what world are we living in?
Okay, Ajmal, we're going to have
civilized people ignore evil.
Right.
We are going to be perished.
Okay.
We need to stand up and protest.
We must leave this now because we're getting a little bit late for the rest of the programme. But Ajmal, thank you for talking to us. Ajmal Masroor, a London Imam, former Director of Communities in Action, and Lord Pickles, Eric Pickles, the UK Special Envoy for Post-Holocaust Issues.